Welcome to part two of the presentation of high impact learning organizations. The next step in the maturity model is moving out the responsibility for learning to the business, to line managers. So really learning at work and focusing on performance instead of just knowledge. And some of the parts here is integrated learning with performance management, also combining the formal learning with just-in-time learning and leveraging and supporting the informal learning, and also formalizing learning at work. We won't talk so much about that, but that's like reflections after projects. It's like mentoring, coaching, and it might be introducing. If you're an expert, you're supposed to drive a community or train new in the role and so on. This is an image of an integrated talent management with all the different processes like sourcing and recruiting, performance management, learning and development, succession planning, career development, and so on. So it's in this framework we should see learning and development, and the closest other process is of course the performance management process, where you set goals, you break down goals, set employee goals, you make competence requirements on these development activities, and you evaluate performance in this. So they are closely together and interlinked, these two processes. But performance management, this is more of the individual perspective. When working with performance management, you should also start to ask yourself, why is there a performance gap? And then you should work with, maybe there's a process that needs to be re-engineered, or a user interface that needs to be better, or maybe it's the role itself that needs to be redesigned, or compensation and motivational aspects and so on. And these are things you will start to know and to work closely with learning in this step. In this phase we also focus on performance support. Meaning we are not only looking at the training, the formal training, we're actually looking at supporting persons when doing a job. And that's much more common because we are often doing a lot of different work tasks and not so often. And the way to support that is more like give people instruction when they do the job. And some examples of that is, for example, screen recordings, which is pretty common on how to learn systems today. It might be one of several video portals that are out there. On the internet you can find a lot of video portals, how-to portals, but also companies are more and more introducing that. When I left Ericsson, they started ERITube, which is also a video portal, and they have a lot of instructions on how to install base stations, for example. And these performance sport are going much more and more mobile, so you have your iPad or you have your smartphone and you will get your instruction in that one. Here's an example of performance support. It's about training on systems, and it's from Ericsson, and it's on sales systems, sales marketing systems. Ericsson had a support department that supported all the sales personnel on those. And they had classroom training and no one appeared, so instead they got a lot of questions and issues at the support department. So they decided to record all the critical procedures you do in the systems. So the thing that goes on is that you go to this page, which is just a tab on the sales portal, and you select your role, for example, communication manager, and when you do that, you can see your different duties that you're supposed to do with this system. For example, one other thing is about budgeting, and you're supposed to enter yearly budget. Of course, that's something you don't do too often. And you can see you have a 2-minute tutorial, so you click on that, and you will get up a short instruction showing you and talking to you on how you do it. When I started to work with Ericsson, we tried to use the customer training because they had all these teachers we wanted to use for internal learning. But we made some studies, and then we could find that how do people learn? And this was initially about product training. We found that they learn from colleagues or the intranet or expert or documentation and so on. And I mean, down to the right is e-learning in classroom, the formal methods. We saw that we have to use informal learning if we want to support people. The other thing is asking, when do people want to learn? I mean, we were assuming they want to go to classes and then use it later on. But most of the people, if you summon just before and while doing, you can see people more and more tend to want to learn on demand when they're doing the tasks. So these are two trends. toward informal learning and towards on-demand we needed to take care about. So we saw we had to combine the different ways of learning: formal learning, preparation, support while doing things, and solving problems together. And the way to do was using the concept of learning portal. That's more a focused portal for a specific product. For example, in this case, it's a product, it's 4G, and a different job roles. You can see there are tabs for the different job roles working with 4G. So you select your tab and you will find relevant material just for you. And all this material is not hidden only in the learning management system. That's where you have the things you want to track and the classroom training. So there are more things. It's, for example, recorded webinars, you have a lot of on-demand videos, you have a lot of things on the product documentation that you want to reuse, and your other guides on the intranet. So you link up everything that's relevant to support this guy to do his work. It might look like this. This is the formal part, and here you can see that you can decide a learning track by job or by assessment. So you select your job role, and when you do, you get up a list of all the relevant training resources that are for this product and for your job, and they are divided into different levels: basic, intermediate, and advanced, and they have short descriptions here. Some of them are in the learning management system, some are not. And in the beginning there is a lot of e-learning, of course, but the further you go there is more hands-on labs, for example, or on the job training and so on. But a large part is not the formal tracks. It's supporting people when they want to do their job. So you can select your job tab here, and you will find a lot of different resources where you can find them in different ways by product or user level and so on. And they might be different kind of things. They might be short recordings like modules of instructions. They might be from the technical documentation, well, more like click on images. Or there might be screen recordings or other resources. A final part here is helping people solving problems. So there is a knowledge sharing part as well. This is a simple forum here where you can see there is someone having a problem with an IPTV solution and someone else is helping that person. And they are now adding activity streams. This is actually the same as in Facebook. So you could have an activity stream for people working with a specific product where everyone shares knowledge and you can see what's coming up, and maybe someone finds a good training resource. It will be displayed here. The final stage in the maturity model is capability development. That means that it's not that centrally you have defined the requirements of competence and that there are gaps out that you fill. Well, to compete, you need to develop new knowledge. You need to be competitive. So you need to develop competence together with customers or when applying new products or working methods and so on. And you want to share that over the whole company. So you make it a responsibility of everyone to share the knowledge. And some of the parts here is, of course, to set up the collaboration and social networks. We're talking about integrated talent management. I'm going to show a little bit about that to really grow people and grow their careers. And finally, it's all about learning culture. I mean, in all the maturity steps, there is a way of moving the culture forward, and here is to be able to share, and that's a hard step. Let's give you an example of collaboration. This is the support function at Cisco, and it's a forum. Of course, you can issue tickets if you want to, but there's a lot of support forums as well, and maybe you can see that you can compare with other software companies. They always have this kind of support forums. But the interesting thing is, of course, that when you look at this, you can see there's a lot of issues where they solve problems, and you can see icons for solving problems. And actually, you have a leaderboard, and this Giuseppe here, he's probably solved most problems. He has the highest ratings and most viewed from others, and he has the leaderboard. And the function is you display the ones that are real experts here, and they are not from Cisco. They are either a customer or a network consultant or something else. So they are actually helping Cisco doing their work. So you could say if you want to have trouble solved, maybe you rather want Giuseppe to help you because he's the expert than a new employee at the support function. And these collaboration forums are now moving into more video and narrated PowerPoint like this one. to express things, to make screen dumps or record things from screens or explain it by PowerPoint or videos and so on. And they work the same way, you know, with ratings, views, and so on. This is actually the new thing coming to the market. A lot of tools, they are often cloud-based, and they look like YouTube, and they allow end users, anyone, to record their knowledge and experiences. And I'm using such a tool right now because I'm recording to a tool called Brainshark. So if you search, for example, on the portal, you will find the same kind of look and feel like in YouTube with ratings and stars and explanation and comments and those kind of things. This is how it looks when I record. I just upload PowerPoint file and then I get a menu like this where I can decide a slide. If I have no text, I can see them, and then I record and can retake it, change, and do anything I want with it. It's pretty simple, just a click of a button. And at the moment when I'm ready and I click save, it's available on the portal. And it could be a company portal with maybe single sign-on and so on, or it could be that you take a link to this presentation. I think you got an email right now where you can see the presentation instead on your LMS or on your intranet. And it's also available on the mobile, your mobile smartphone, so you have an app. It's not only Brainshark that has this functionality, most of the tools have that, so it's already there. So you can see the presentation right on the mobile phone instead. What you've been seeing now is moving the responsibility out to the business and out to the individuals for creating knowledge. But there's also another thing that you tend to do on the highest levels is to have an integrated view on how to develop the talents in your company. It's called integrated talent management. It means often that you have processes and a system that integrates things together. In the core, you have the competence profiles, and that they will allow you to see persons and find gaps, to know where to plan, where to fill with recruiting or development or move people around in the world. So you have workforce planning. You will be able to use the competence profiles for recruiting. You will have modules that are integrated that break down the company goals down to individual goals. And it's not like the performance management that is yearly. It's more agile, so you can all the time monitoring and following projects and individuals and find development activities if they want to do that. And it's integrated, of course, with learning and development, so you have small chunks of knowledge that matches these gaps, these competence or performance gaps. And of course, in this model you can see different people, what levels are they on? Are they on the move to take a step in the careers and so on? And who is ready for a pay raise and so on, compensation, and who is about to leave, and all these kind of things are integrated with a lot of analytics, helping you to develop talents. Moving up further in this maturity model is not something you do in 1 year, and it's not so that you do it sequentially. It depends on your strategies and your goal of your organization. It might be that you're really selling solution and need to work with the customers, and that means you need to work with collaboration pretty early. But generally there's a lot of cultural shifts going. If you're gonna go from traditional course focus, which is very much classroom training, it's very much subject focus, the thing you need to do is to move out and people can learn anywhere and anyhow. You need that flexibility. Another thing is to always connect all the learning activities to goals and to competence profiles, and that's not often so existent. When you take a training on a product, the expert just explains the product. They don't know what a sales guy do or a service engineer do, and they don't adapt their training to those kind of means. That's a large change, believe me. It takes time. And the next phase is even more. It's more like, no, you shouldn't focus on just learning. You should actually focus on thinking about what is the work to be done, what is the tasks, What impacts performance? It might not just be learning. It's absolutely not only learning. Other things are impacting, like processes, motivation, and those kind of things. And we have to move that responsibility out to the business because they know better, to the line managers. How could we sell more? How could this person sell more? That's not only about training. That's not